Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast today. I am on with my wonderful and lovely friend Harshu, who I met in a Bhagavad Gita book study that we are in together, and I was struck by her love and devotion for Hanuman and her surrender to God and just her purity and simplicity. So I figured I would be honored to have her on. So hello, Harshu. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Alex. Ram Ram. Thank
Ram
you.
Ram to you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Yes.
you. I was thinking I'll just start us with a quick prayer
Mm.
before we begin our talk. And for everybody listening, we can just take a moment, silence, and invite the spirit of Hanumanji, the servant of God, the servant of Ram, into our hearts and to the hearts of all the listeners. And so that we may be fed by his love and his spirit and his grace. And in this talk, may we get his darshan through us, through Harshu and his blessing. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om.
So, Harshu, I guess we could start by
Mm-hmm.
just asking you about your spiritual life, your upbringing, your
Mm-hmm.
path, just how you got to where you are today, maybe.
Yeah. So I grew up in a pretty religious Hindu Brahmin family, and they were all devotees of Hanumanji. Uh,
Really?
yeah. So my grandpa was a priest in Hanuman Mandir for 15 years, and growing up, my father and the siblings used to go to Hanuman Mandir every day, and yeah, they were devotees of Hanumanji and surrendered to him throughout their lives. Even my grandpa and the entire great grandpa, the whole family lineage is devoted to Hanumanji. So that's where I get it from.
Wow.
And yeah, every year whenever I go to India, we go to the temple, and like sometimes we also have a feast, sort of. Like we have a book for Hanumanji, and then the invitation is sent out to the entire village, and the village comes and has a prasad there. So it's a festive
Is
feast
that on
kind of
Hanuman's
thing.
birthday when that is? Like Hanuman
No,
Jayante or just different, just
just
whenever?
just whenever, we go, we try to have it sometimes on Tuesday or Saturday whenever we get an auspicious tithi.
Wow. So you grew up
Mhm.
in a family, that's incredible, that
Mhm.
has always been
Yeah.
Hanumanji watching over your family for all these generations. And your grandfather
Yeah.
was a Brahmin priest, which is also
Mhm.
Pujari, same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pujari
Same
priest
thing.
at a
Yeah.
temple. That's incredible. So from when the time you were young,
Mhm.
was your family very they taught you
Mhm.
in that spirit of Hanuman and that spirit of love and
Yeah.
service?
Yeah. So it's always like, tell it to Hanumanji. Go tell it to Hanumanji. Like whatever difficulties or hurdles we face, it's always like, go complain it to him or go tell it to him. Just like you would go and talk to your grandfather. I have that kind of faith, respect, belief, a relationship of that sort, that you would go to the elder in your family if you as a child is facing through something or having difficulty understanding some situation in your life, or if you don't see the clear way, basically. So you just go and pray to Hanumanji. And
Can yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about Hanuman and about his story and where he comes from and what he means to you?
yeah, what he means to me is he's like my grandfather. So I pray to him like I would talk to my grandfather. So it's more intimate relationship, uh, and not like, oh, he's a god and you just pray to God, and then there is a distance between you and a god. You think of yourself as some inferior being, like how you would pray to Maharaji. You don't have that much of a distance between you and Maharajji, because there are lots of photos and there are pictures of him with people and devotees. So he feels a lot closer to us than you would pray to, like, say, Shiva or Ramji. There is some distance there, but when you have that intimate relation, when you over time you develop that relationship, it feels much closer, and your prayers, or your, well, if you're asking for something like some clarity or something, it happens really quickly. Like the answers come real fast.
Yes, yes, I experienced that too. And I have this triple picture here that has
Yeah,
Hanumanji, Ramdas,
yeah,
and Maharaji, so all
yeah,
Hanumanjis. But
yeah.
I love how you say that because I feel the same way, that personal
Hmm.
relationship with him, with that form of God where you feel like you're talking to him and you know almost that he's your friend and that he's
Yeah.
listening and that he's so loving and playful,
Hmm.
but also that he's powerful and can be fierce
Yeah,
and do anything. He loves you and
yeah.
he's easy to contact. And I do feel that way when I talk to Hanuman or Maharaji, that
Hmm.
he's right there with me, which is such a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. And I also love in Maharaji's example that he was embodied so recently. You know, because sometimes
Hmm.
you think back on, say, Jesus living 2,000 years ago, and of course he's still vibrantly alive, but we are blessed that Neem Curly Baba in this form of Hanuman is so
Hmm.
close to our time that he's
Yeah,
present with us. And it's easy to see pictures of him, and it's like God is with
yeah,
us.
yeah.
Yeah,
100%. And also, when you think of Maharajji, sometimes it feels like he's right there when you are singing Hanuman Chalisa, or you are just focusing on your heart center and just singing it out loud, like how you would sing in a kirtan, how Krishna Das sings. I
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I feel the veil is really thin, and you could feel him right there.
Yeah, like he's right with
Mhm,
you. I was just reading
mhm,
we were just doing a Bible study and reading this book of Tobit, and the archangel Raphael was in disguise helping them. And then at the end of the story, he reveals himself and he
mhm,
says, I was the one that brought your petitions before God. And he says, I was with you
mhm,
at the time of the funeral. And it's like they didn't know that, but he was there. And so it
mhm.
reminds me of that when you're singing to Hanuman, he's actually there in his astral
Yeah,
form. And even if you don't see him, but you sense him there.
it is. I just got reminded of the story of Hanuman. It happened in Mumbai when where there was Ram Katha, and it is said that wherever we have Ramayan Katha or Sundarkand Katha, we have a place for Hanumanji to come and sit with us before we begin anything, before we start narration or even start with the first prayer. First, we have a asana for Hanumanji to come and have seat with us, and then we proceed. So, in that Mumbai Katha where it was happening, there was one lawyer who was skeptic and he did not believe in such a thing, and he was just there to, like, question basically. And he questioned, like, why are you having this asana out? We don't see anyone. So the Kathakar, who was the priest who was going to narrate the story, he was like, we have to place the asana for Hanumanji, and he's there wherever we sing the glories of Ram. And he was like, so the lawyer was, I don't believe in you,
Yeah,
and you have to prove it to me. And if you prove it to me, I will leave my profession as a lawyer, and I will join you and devote my life to Ram if you prove yourself to me. So the
yeah,
priest said he is going to take a day, and you come back tomorrow morning, and then I will prove it to you, because he needed some time. And he goes back after that day's katha. He goes back to his quarters, and he prays to Hanumanji all night. And then he was fervently praying to Hanumanji to show him a way. He believes that Hanumanji is there, but he wanted to get the direction from the God himself to help him convey, how to convey to a skeptic that the God is there. and he prays all night, and finally when he feels enough in his heart that okay, now everything's going to be okay, when that moment reaches, he stops praying, he goes on about his duties, goes to the katha next day. The lawyer is there, and so the lawyer is like, okay, prove it to me now. And the priest prays to God, Hanumanji, Ramji, and then asks the lawyer to pick up the asana. He's like, you are telling me God is not here, so go ahead and go pick up the asana, like lift it up. And the lawyer couldn't lift it up. He got the help from other people also, and he couldn't like budge the thing
The
from
seat.
his place, the seat from his place. And then he falls to his knees, and he becomes a devoted Ram Bhakt and Hanuman Bhakt.
And
And
that's one of the Hanuman's powers is that he becomes infinitely heavy or
infinitely
infinitely
heavy.
light or infinitely big, infinitely small.
And
That's so beautiful.
so yeah, that story always sticks with me because he's always there when you like currently pray to him, and he makes it a point that you know that he is with you. Like you will know as a sure feeling in your heart that he is with you when you when like it happened to me this summer when I had a big financial trouble, and I had a thing with my house. There was a closing happening, like my new home construction had completed, and I had to close it, and the market was bad, and the bank was not giving me the mortgage amount for
Hmm.
enough to close. If the closing wouldn't happen, then I would lose like 5 years worth of money that I paid, and down
Oh
payment
my
and
God.
everything. So I would have lost like 160,000 or something,
Oh my gosh.
more than that, yeah.
That's crazy.
And so the closing did not happen, and then I got extension from the company for 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks I have to go and find another bank which would approve my mortgage for the amount that I want, and then help me close it. So I continuously prayed to Hanumanji, and I was doing Hanuman Chalisas every day, and I remembered how Mataji would say, go pray to Hanuman and do 11 Chalisas. Like Siddhima would say,
Yeah.
go pray to Hanumanji, do 11 Chalisas. So I would do that. I got like red flowers. I would have 4 or 5 different types of fruits. Um, and I would like offer it to him, and then do chalisas, and things would move slowly, and then I would get one good news after one good news. Like it was impossible, and from impossible to him making it possible, like one baby step at a time, one positive news, second positive news. It would like build, and it happened on the last day.
Oh my gosh. On the last day.
Yeah, I was pretty exhausted, and as soon I heard it went through, I burst into like tears. And I was like listening to Chalisas and crying my eyes out.
Oh my gosh. That's so
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah. And
yeah,
Maharaji always says, don't like don't fear, don't you know I'm with you, don't you know
yeah,
I'm with you.
yeah,
And sometimes he takes though, we have to have faith
hmm,
because it takes
yeah,
it happens at the perfect time.
yeah,
That's so beautiful. And I love, for anyone listening, the Hanuman Chalisa is a beautiful ode to Hanuman. It's a song invoking
mhm,
Hanuman and his glory that
mhm,
Tulsidas, the writer of the Ramcharitmanas and Hanuman Chalisa, wrote what, like about
yeah,
500 or so years ago. And it's 40 verses. And what's the language? It's not Hindi, but similar to Hindi, Adwali.
yeah, yeah. It's similar to Hindi. It's not as what you can say official, or it's like a local language that you would speak. It's not as formal, you can say.
Yes,
It's a
yes.
local colloquial type of language, but similar to Hindi.
Right. And in a miraculous way, even though it seems intimidating, so many Westerners, so many Americans learn it. And I learned it over a period of couple of months because
Yeah.
when Hanumanji wants you to learn it, then he helps you learn it and then you just sing it and play it and it comes to you. But I love how
Yeah.
you talk about, to me personally, how you said in the past when we've talked, how you cry and go into
Mhm.
tears often when you sing the Chalisa.
Mhm.
And you just said now when he came for you, but maybe you could talk a little bit about that feeling of, because some people aren't aware if we haven't experienced it,
Mhm.
but that bhakti and that love and that
Mhm.
darshan when you get his seeing and like a deeper level of that
Yeah.
deeper level of our being that it touches.
Yeah. I get a bodily sensation of like this tingling, and my heart feels open, not heavy, but it feels expansive. Like there is space, suddenly there is a space for everything, and there is a deeper understanding. And it's like you are seated in your heart. Whenever you are singing, it's like the whole energy is accumulated in your heart center.
You make me want to cry now and sing Hanuman Chalisas.
that's,
um
that's what I do. I just sing to chalisas and I don't know anything else. Just like how Krishna Das says, um, he has no other practice. He just sings chalisas. I think that's his practice.
Yeah, yeah, and in the Chalisa itself, in the beginning, you say, "Because I have not enough intellect, Hanumanji, please
Yeah,
take care of me.
yeah,
Please give me your grace."
hmm yeah.
Yeah,
My father says this thing always. You should always depend on Hanumanji with your life and with whatever you are doing. Keep him ahead. Like you say to him that you move and then I move behind you. Like you walk ahead. You walk the path and then I walk behind you.
yeah,
And you should never leave his side. Like never say that you can do something. Say that he will do it for me.
yes, yes,
because
yes,
because if he is doing it for you, then he will do it in the highest, in your highest good.
yeah. And
And
so everyone knows Hanuman likes bananas and ladus. Does he
yes.
like? Yeah,
Yeah, so that's the always, yeah, go with the fruits and be like, Hanumanji, I have this hurdle, please make it happen.
yeah. My girlfriend was just going yesterday or like a couple days ago to a church she hadn't been to in a while, and she was serving
Mhm,
the Eucharist, the blood and body of Christ at the church, and she said she
mhm.
pulled up and she saw a license plate that said NKB Neem Karoli Baba, and then there was a banana peel on the ground next to it for Hanuman, and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And she's like, "I
Yeah.
haven't seen that NKB license plate in a long time since the last time I needed that sign,"
Mhm.
and I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. One story I love that Neem Karoli Baba Maharaji, who people listening is known as an incarnation of Hanuman, a
Mhm,
manifestation of Hanuman. And I love in some versions of the Ramayana, Hanuman says, "May I always be on earth to serve Ram. May I always stay here to
mhm.
serve Ram." And in this world now he comes in these forms like Maharaji because he can't always be running around in his monkey form everywhere. But I love
Yeah.
this story that Maharaji told up in near Nainital at Kainchi at the ashram. Back when Maharaji was in his body, there was a woman who she really wanted to go see him, but her husband didn't want to. And
Mhm,
they were driving by and he said, "Oh, we don't have time and stuff." And then there was some sort of delay, maybe because
mhm,
weather. So they had time. So she said, "We got to go see him." So they went and seen Maharaji. And Maharaji said to the husband, he said, "You've forgotten 20 years ago when you were a porter back in Mumbai." He said, "You asked
mhm.
Hanumanji for 100 rupee
Yeah.
note to change your
Mhm.
life." And he said,
Yeah.
Hanumanji himself gave you that 100 rupee note, and you said
Mhm.
you would offer just 2 rupees prasad, but you never did.
Yeah.
And and then it was true. The man had been out of nowhere given 100 rupee note, and then
Yes.
became successful and changed his life. And so I just thought that was so beautiful how he said
Yeah.
that to him and opened his heart in that way.
Yeah. You never know how he comes and in what form he will come and who he will inspire to help you. So always have your heart open towards receiving, but also giving, because you don't know when he will instruct you to help others. So you should, like, it should be if your heart is synced with him, you will always get these inspirations to do good for others, or when you are in a situation to receive something, you are able to receive it with open heart.
Yeah, we have to receive openly and give. And sometimes I know he puts me in situations where
Hmm.
logically I wouldn't be in the position to give, but
Hmm.
you have to know to trust in him that he wants you to give and then he'll take care of you.
Yeah, like I was also going through really tough times this entire past year, and even now I struggle. And I have had like roommates who have been just living with me. I still have one person living with me. Um, but yeah, he makes it happen. Like he helps me manage it. Even when I don't see how it will happen, things happen.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, and even if we forget him for a little bit, he's
Hmm.
always there. Like Maharaji says, you once I get a hold of your hand, I never let go, and even if you forget me, I'll never forget you.
Yeah, that is. Sometimes I get scared that I will forget him, and then I cling. I cling even harder. But yeah, he doesn't. The grace is always there, but it depends on your openness, the how open our heart is towards receiving that grace. Sometimes he breaks open the heart by uh like hard teachings. Sometimes his teachings are difficult, like you will have misfortunes or you'll have accidents, but he will not, he will also bless us with, if you are going to get like fracture, you might get saved by just a small, you know, fall. So
Yes,
he
yes.
does help us, and then it's like a wake up call. Wake up.
Yes, there's a woman in Windfall of Grace movie, and she's the Maharaji Hanuman devotee, and she broke her ankle or something, and she's
Mhm.
very old in the movie. And they said, "Shouldn't he protect you from that?" And she said, "No." She said, "It should have been without him. It would be much worse." She said, "He makes it
Yeah, he
mitigates it."
mitigates.
But
Yeah.
it's true. He helps. He takes our karma, and actually, it's a incredible grace that we probably don't even close to see fully
Mhm.
how incredible it is.
Yeah, like in astrology, if you are having a bad time with Saturn or Mars, like these planets, if they are having bad aspects in your natal chart, then it's always recommended to pray to Hanumanji. Like he will take away all of that bad karma and make it
Yeah.
more settled. And yeah.
Oh, that's so true. And we got to talk too about how much he loves Ram and how he
Hmm.
loves the name of
Yeah.
Ram. And if you chant Ram's name, Hanuman is always there.
Hmm. Yeah, it's always like I mentioned in that story, whenever we have Ram Katha or Sundarkand part, he's always there. Um, he's like the Bodhisattva, right? He's always going to be there until there is a name of Ram spoken on this in this universe, basically. And he has vowed, like Bodhisattva, to help each of the beings, to help them evolve in their journey towards Ram and towards
Yeah.
the attainment, the true source God. and
Yeah.
that's why he stayed back on this 3D like earthly realm, so he can help beings like all the beings until they reach God.
Yes. Yes. And he makes me, I know, have the feeling that I'll be doing the same thing because you can see, because we're part
Mhm.
of that lineage of love and service and devotion.
Mhm.
And his love is so vast for us that he can't leave us behind. But
Yeah.
he teaches us in the same way, right? That our love
Mhm.
has to become so vast that we want
Yeah.
to be willing to take on suffering for others and whatever needs to be. And that's why I love the archetype of Hanuman and Jesus being so
Mhm.
similar because they both are here to lead us to the source, like you said, to
Yeah.
Ram, to the Father, and they take on that pain for us. And I love
Mhm.
how Jesus always says, "Thy will be done," just like Hanuman says, "I live to serve Ram."
Yeah.
But then Jesus also says, "Me and the Father are one." And Hanuman
Mhm.
also says, "When I
Yeah.
know who I am you."
Yeah.
So it's like they
Yes.
are him and serve him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for us to like people who worship to Hanumanji, to Ramji, I think for us we just have to remember to carry that essence like you mentioned and never forget what Hanumanji stands for, so that even if we are like suffering or we are not having enough in our like little ego minds, we are feeling that we don't have enough, how are we going to give it to others? We just have to rest in our heart chakra and then sing to Hanumanji. He will give us enough strength and courage to go out and help others in whatever capacity we can.
I love how you said what he stood for because I've been doing Hanuman Bahuk in English, and Tulsidas says in there, "You to Hanuman, you represent what Sri Ram stood for. You are the messenger of Sri Ram."
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, we
That
have
is,
to remember him in our heart, right? To keep moving from that place of love, being in that.
yeah, place of love, but also courage. I sometimes we become like fearful. I become fearful, and then I don't see the path forward, and everything is clouded, and you don't know what your next step's going to be, and you just feel lost basically. And there are lots of moments in all of like our lives basically where we feel lost, and we seek direction, we seek help from other people, and everyone has their own perspective towards like what we should be doing. But the true inspiration comes only when we like shut down and go inwards and remember Hanumanji or whoever your Ishtadev is, and
Yes.
they show us the way. If we like truly depend on them with all our heart belief, I guess.
Yeah, we were just reading in this book called the Book of Tobit in the Old Testament of the Bible, and he says, "Trust in God with all your heart and all your
Mhm.
soul, and then
Mhm.
he won't hide his presence from you, and he'll turn his face towards you." And that's it. If we can just keep bringing in more love and devotion and surrender, then he won't fail us. And I love that Jesus says, like, "Seek and you'll find, knock and the
Yeah.
door will be open, and everyone who asks receives." And they say the name of
Mhm.
Hanuman, ghosts and demons flee from the name of
Yes.
Hanuman,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
Which
yeah,
yeah. Where yeah, wherever there is the name of Hanuman, there is no place for any negative forces. And a lot of people seek refuge in him when they feel that they have been attacked by entities. And it is very true.
yeah. Like Maharaji made Hanuman Gar near
Yeah.
Nainital on a hill
Yeah.
for people to know that was filled with, it was haunted, and when
Mhm.
young kids would die and people like that, they would put them there, and nobody wanted to go to this hill. And
Yeah.
he built Hanumangar to purify it, to purify all the energy and the spirits, and now it's a
Yeah.
beautiful temple, and it even has a little Hanuman murti that Maharaji made with his own hands that
Yeah.
sits in
And
there.
how merciful he was like and he is. he was thinking about those spirits as well. Those spirits
Yeah.
would get forward momentum towards, taking other lives or going in other realms where they are supported and not stuck in this hellish realm wherever they
Yeah.
were stuck,
Yeah. Yeah. Liberating them from that hellish
liberating them.
state so they can
Yeah,
go on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I love also Hanuman, just the stories of Hanuman in the Ramayana are so beautiful. And maybe you could tell us a
yeah.
couple of parts that you really like, or a couple of your favorite parts of the Ramayana, which is the story of Hanuman. Hanuman is
Yeah,
part of that story.
I love the part where, like, whenever Sugriva, whenever Vibhishan, all these great beings who were scared and feeling helpless, like even Ram, he was feeling helpless, and they all turned towards Hanumanji. Like in throughout Ramayana, you will find lot of beings, like these great beings, including Ram and Lakshman and all the main characters who are in Ramayana. They all depend on Hanumanji to get their work done.
Yeah, and he saved Lakshman's life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that if all the great beings depend on him with their life, then who am I?
Not to. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is like the main, I don't know, inspiration or to depend on him with all your life and with devotion and bhakti, and just rely on him and he will show you the way, and not take it upon yourself, the burdens of life. And how Jesus said, make your burdens mine, your, like, my yoke is easy,
Yeah.
something that
Yeah, yeah. My
kind of.
yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Yeah, yeah, so that's, I depend on Hanumanji like that.
Yeah. I love how two things, how you were talking about courage. And I know Krishna Das was with Maharaji once at a hotel in another part of India, one of the big cities, I think, but not where they usually were. And he had found him there with another devotee. And Maharaji said, courage is very important, because you were talking
Yes.
about courage. And the devotee said, no, Maharaji, you take care of us. And then Maharaji's like, he said, nay. And he said again, courage is
Courage.
very important. So that's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's even though he does take care of us, like you said, for
Hmm.
us to have courage, and he wants us to have courage, is very
Yeah.
important. The quote today he sent in the email, Maharaji quote says, you coward or something. Why do you fear? Don't you know I'm with you?
Yeah. Yeah. When we see such things, we laugh, but it's not always easy to remember he is with you. But
Yeah.
in those moments, if you pull yourself together and gather enough courage, then he will always be there. He will show that he's there with you. Like he is there, but he will also show in some such way that you are being taken care of, and pull yourself together.
Yeah, pull yourself together. Yeah, he shows you in really, really beautiful ways. Whenever I'm having a hard time and I'm not able to pull myself together, I'll see the quote from Maharaji where he says, "You must not break down so easily." And I'm like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I need to have courage." Like he's with me. He
Yeah.
sees I'm breaking down about nothing, and he wants me to have courage. Or maybe not about nothing, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
caught in fear.
I was just mentioning Ramayana, how you mentioned if there are any favorite stories.
Yes.
Maharaji's favorite story was Sundarkand, and it is a really beautiful part of Ramayana. You are also reading Sundarkand, right?
I'm reading it right now. Because of you,
Yeah.
I'll read it tonight too. But yes, I am.
Yeah, but that's the favorite part mostly because it shows how a devotee's love is, and the true devotee here is Sitama, and how she describes her state without Ram in Sundarkand. And when Hanumanji as a messenger goes to the devotee, and Hanumanji reassures Sita Ma that Ramji is always thinking about you and is dying to be reunited with you, and he cannot live without you. So it shows how the true source God is waiting for all of us to go back to God. And he never forgets about us. And if we take like one step, he will take 10 steps and he will show you the way to go back to him. And Hanumanji is that messenger God, and he will guide us through this bhakti and devotion towards that ultimate liberation. So that's the beautiful essence of Sundarkand that I really love in Ramayana.
Yes, I was realizing the same thing when I was reading it. Just the way he's coming as the messenger of Sri Ram to Sita to bring the
Hmm.
greatest soul and devotee to Ram. That's
Hmm.
how he's coming to all of us. We're
Yeah,
Sita. I feel that we've been
yeah,
stolen
we are.
by illusion, by Maya, like
Yeah,
by Ravana, and he's coming to bring us
yeah,
back.
yeah. We are
Yeah,
all living in Lanka
yeah, yeah,
because it's all full of illusions, and we in the story it is said that Lanka is really beautiful. It's made out of gold, and there are flower gardens everywhere, and it's really beautiful. Like everywhere you look is beauty, but that's the illusion beauty and worldly beauty, and the more the lust for having more and more, basically. We are all living in Lanka, basically, and Hanumanji reminds us, like the devotees, that God awaits. God is waiting, and He's ready to come in if you let Him come in. Or when the devotee cries their hearts out, like, "What's happening? I'm so lost. Does God even remember me that I'm here?" Because sometimes
yeah.
we feel that way. Like, sometimes you feel that there is no point to any of it when you are feeling dejected, or there is some state of mind where you don't feel grace, and then you complain to God that where are you? Are you even there?
Yeah, yeah. So we're in Lanka, and if we pray to God, Hanuman will come.
Will
And I
come.
love how you said that. Wow, that's so amazing, Harshu. How Lanka is, which is Ravana's abode, the demon king
Hmm.
or the
Yeah.
illusion Maya king, is so beautiful. And I
Hmm.
know Maharaji, when they asked him something about if he had attachment or something, he said, "I'll leave this just like I left and burnt Lanka," because
Hmm.
Hanuman burnt
Yeah.
Lanka. And
Yeah.
wow, so it's burning in a sense the attachment and the illusions,
Attachment.
even
Hmm.
though they can be so seemingly beautiful and seductive, but really they're
Yeah.
not. Really, they're trapping you.
And then it feels like hard uh, grace. So grace which is a little harsh. And sometimes it feels like whenever these attachments are getting burned, like sometimes you suppose you go through a breakup, and then it's for your own good, but it feels harsh in the moment when the
Yes.
attachments get burned. But that's also grace, and that it is for you to break open your heart and remember God. So, and let the grace come in the way it's supposed to help you get to Ram again.
Yeah. The fierce grace that helps you get around.
Yeah, yeah.
I
But
love
he does, but he does cradle you when he puts you through fierce grace. I felt cradled when I'm taken care of when I got through this fierce grace period.
yes, yes. Like there's that saying of God that when you didn't see my footsteps, that's when I carried you. And even when we're going through the suffering, He is there with us and mitigating it and helping it
Yeah.
through and knowing it's for our highest good. And I read a lot of Rumi, the poet,
Mhm.
and Rumi was a great, great mystic and and lover of God, and he always talks about suffering as as a key to grace. And he says
Mhm.
this magic reversal has taken place where the snake pit, you see, like you see the snake pit, the illusion is what's good, and all the beautiful expanse around it you see as bad. You see things backwards almost. And he also talks about another one with fire and water, and he says you want to plunge yourself into the fire
Mhm.
of purification and fierce grace. And he says those who jump into the water of pleasure
Mhm.
end up cheated in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says you
Yeah.
jump into one, you actually end up in the other.
Mm. Yeah. Rumi, Rumi's poems are on another level sometimes. It's hard to understand once you get it. It's like, oh yeah, that is so deep.
It's the most deep and intricate
Yeah.
poetry, I think, in the history of the known
Yeah.
world. I've never came across anything like it. And if
Hmm.
you're not attuned to it, like you said, you'll just be like, "Oh, what's this guy talking
What's
about?"
yeah.
And because he's speaking from like way inside the
Hmm.
heart, from way
Yeah.
inside love. And he's always
Yeah.
been my companion these past 8 years, and I always have one of his books nearby, and no
Mm.
matter what is going on, he never lets me down. So he's got something on the right page. And his
That's beautiful.
relationship with Shams, his guru, is just
Hmm.
like our relationship with Hanuman.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to say is
Hmm.
there's a saying Maharaji used to say that Ram was helpless before Hanuman,
Yeah.
in the sense that because Hanuman is so close to Ram, Ram has to, right? Ram
Hmm.
has to hear him. Ram has to do his work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the whole Ramayana is so beautiful in the sense that for everyone's work to get done, Hanumanji has to be there. None of the work will get done until Hanumanji comes and helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like everyone, all the mighty beings depend on him. So who am I and why I should think egotistically that, oh, I will do this, or let me do it without his help, or forget him before starting something on my own. That will
Yeah.
not come to a fruition. So whenever you start something, take Hanumanji with you.
Yes. And it's interesting in the spirit of Jnana Yoga, and Ramana Maharshi in self inquiry often talks about giving up the doership sense, but it's really
Yeah,
the same thing
it's the
in
same
bhakti.
thing.
It's the same thing.
Yes, it is the same thing. That yeah, as you like rightly said, put it, it's Jnana Yoga, and then this is Bhakti Yoga. Jnana Yoga helps us understand it intellectually as to why we are supposed to give up to worship. And because if we give up to worship, then we are not the one doing this particular karma. And so the fruits of that karma won't attach to us. And we won't
Hmm.
have to take birth again and again to get paid back of whatever good or bad karma we had like done in past. So it will only the karma balance will come to zero only if we give up the worship.
Right. Because if there's doership, that's the awareness clinging basically to
Hmm.
the jiva, to the separate self. And then
Yeah,
you keep creating karma
keep
because you're
yeah,
taking the fruits of the action.
yeah, whether good or bad. Even if you're doing something good and you think that you did it, then you have to take birth again to get paid back that good karma. So someone else will do that good karma to you, like repay it back. But for that,
Right.
you still have to come back, and the whole game is to not come back.
The whole game, Harshu. Ramdas was just talking about that in a talk yesterday. He said that he's like, I hate to tell you guys. He's like, but it's being righteous and good. He said isn't the same as being free. He said you can be good and righteous and you follow all the rules and everything, but you're not free. And he said you can
Yeah,
go. to heaven for 1,000 years and sit at the hand of God. He's like, but then you got to come back again
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
not free.
Yeah, you have to come back. So that's jnana yoga, but with bhakti yoga, you don't have to understand all of that. You just have to lead it with heart, saying, "I'm surrendered to you," and you take the lead and you do whatever I'm supposed to do. So I'm not doing anything. You are doing everything. So you
Yeah,
do you in playfully or selfishly you would say to God that you do it. I'm not going to do it.
yeah, yeah.
So
You do it. That's what Ramana says too when he talks about bhakti. He says, "Cast
yeah,
all your cares upon God if that's your path, and then it's all in His hands."
yeah. And this is more in a way that you are like a literal child, like a literal child to the God, and you feel your being as I don't know, it's your inner child basically talking to God, and you just rely on Him with your whole being, and everything is done by Him.
Wow. Yeah. Can you tell us the story of Hanuman ripping open his chest?
Yeah. So they were all gathered in a. So Ramji is a king now in Ayodhya, and he has his whole sabha full of all the ministers. And Lakshman teases Hanuman. Hanumanji was given a gift of beads, pearl beads, and Sita Ma gives it to Hanuman, and Hanumanji is like, "What am I going to do with the pearl beads?" And they were the most precious, and uh, like the size was big, and the size was long. The whole mala beads was like super awesome, being gifted by some, I don't know, some devata to to Sitama, and Sitama gives it to Hanumanji, and Hanumanji just breaks open all the beads with his mouth. He just bites into all the beads because he's looking for the name of Ram. He doesn't want anything which does not have the name Ram on it, or which does not represent Ram, because he does not want to get distracted by anything else.
Even if
His
it's incredible,
Even if it is
beautiful.
yeah, beautiful, incredible, uh, he does not care about it, and it's just a distraction for him. And his mind is one pointed to Ram, and so he breaks it open and he destroys the whole mala beads of pearl. So Sitama feels bad that he did not respect the gift. So and Lakshman Bhaiya also gets kind of angry that why did he disrespect Ma like that, and he did not ap- appreciate the gift, the beautiful gift that it was. So he comes and tells like, why did you do that? Do you not respect Ma? And Hanumanji said, it's not that I don't respect Ma, it's the beads does not have Ram in it. So he's like, your body does not have Ram in it. So what are you going to do about that? And he's like, my body has Ram in it. And he opens his chest and shows Ramji, Sita Ma, and Lakshman Bhaiya. That means his entire body, all his cells are one with Ram. Like his whole body vibrates with the
With
name
Ram.
Ram, and the whole sabha is in awe, and they all get to know how devoted Hanumanji is to Ram, that his entire being is Ram.
His entire being is Ram. That's so beautiful. And it's also important to note that it is said that Hanuman does all of his work, has all of his power by Ram's
Mhm.
name, because he's
Yes.
always taking Ram's name, and Maharaji was always taking Ram's name. So that's
Hmm.
important for us to know
Yeah.
too. And that's been in accordance with the Hanuman Chalisa, my grace for so many years. And I always carry around a japa mala, and just
Mhm.
everywhere I go, I'm always saying Ram, no matter where I'm at, what I'm doing. It just plays. And now, even I'm at a place when I read books, all of my books are littered with the name of Ram. I can't help it, Harshu, because I start reading them and then I just write Ram all in them, and every couple, like two sentences, then you just got to start writing. But it's because Hanumanji, it's like that love comes through us, and then we just feel
Mhm.
called to express it in that way. And so people know, a lot of people write Ram Nam too.
Yeah.
Instead of just speaking it, you can just write it over and
Right.
over and over.
Yeah.
It's a meditation.
It's a beautiful practice, and it helps you become thoughtless too. Like it helps me become thoughtless when I start writing down, and it takes you into that meditative state, I guess, when you
Yeah.
start writing Ram over and over again. Because otherwise, if you sit with your eyes closed, it's really hard to get to that state where you are not having that internal chatter. But when you start writing Ram, that it's gone just like that, and there is no internal chatter right away.
Yeah, that's why I love in in the West, a lot of people in America get into yoga and meditation, but aren't
Mhm.
always taught so much about mantra and about
Mhm.
japa. So then a lot of people hear meditation and think, well, I tried to
Yeah.
meditate, my mind races too much
Yeah.
and it's too tough because, but if you know about japa, then you know, instead of trying to be totally silent, you cling to the name of Ram or
Yeah.
Hanuman, you repeat the
Mhm.
name of God, you write it or say it, and then that is your anchor and that is your mantra. And
Yeah.
you still will have thoughts, but that's okay because
Mhm.
you have the mantra coming through, whether you
Yeah.
do it inside or out loud.
And it will wash it away. Eventually, it will wash it away. And yeah, even and some when the japa is done over a period of time, it goes to a point where even when you are sleeping, the japa does itself. So the
Yeah,
Ram Nam continues even when you are asleep. And you
yeah,
don't have to consciously do it, it just happening. And the first thing in the morning when you come to consciousness, you will you will realize that Ram 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 is happening on its own. And
yeah.
when you go to bed, also you'll realize you sleep to Ram Ram Ram. So the japa is doing itself. Like you are not doing the japa, japa is doing you.
Yes, yes, it's doing you. When I had my surgery recently, which wasn't a super minor surgery, it was pretty decent, but they were going to put me to sleep, and they put the
Yeah.
anesthesia in you. I just, for the few minutes, not the few minutes,
Mhm.
for the couple of brief seconds, I thought of Hanuman's form and just
Mhm.
repeated. I forgot if I repeated Ram or Hanuman, but I repeated one of them and I thought of Hanuman's face, and just
Mhm.
only for 3 seconds, but I knew that's what I needed to take me to that surgery.
Yeah.
And then I came out, and first thing I come out to is the nurse was my best friend from high school's mom,
Oh.
who I hadn't
Oh.
seen in 10 years.
Oh
And she
wow.
said, "Oh," she said, I was waiting for you to wake up." And she took me to my room. And then my nurse came in, and the nurse we had the whole night, my girlfriend was there with me,
Mhm.
was it was at a Catholic hospital. She loved, but not everybody there by any means is Catholic or religious, but she loved Jesus and Mother Mary. And we had a Mother Mary thing up, and she was bowing with us and praying with us
Oh.
and taking great care. So that was him taking care of me. It was
Yeah.
incredible grace. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. He's always there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Harshu. Before we
Yeah.
finish, is there anything else that you would like to say?
I would just pray that we never forget clinging to Hanuman. We always
Yeah.
cling to him with all our being, and then we don't leave it
Thank you. Jai
that.
Hanuman.
Jai Hanuman.
Ram Ram.
Ram Ram.
Thank you, Harshu.
Thank you, Alex.